Hi everybody, it's Ed Lyons from Flint Optometry, Ed Lyons Sports Vision and Edwards Eyewear. It's a different type of video today because we're really lucky to have been invited to a Team GB training camp at Lilleshall, the National Sports Centre and the home of British gymnastics. Over the last couple of years, I've been working with Bryony Page, who's now British, European, World and Olympic champion. We've been working on optimising her contact lenses, improving her spatial awareness, her depth perception, reaction time, and a whole load of other tangible visual skills that can add up to really important and marginal gains to deliver a performance optimisation for the elite athlete. So hopefully you'll find this video really interesting because this applies to a whole load of different sports about how we can make that person see better and perform better. So, first of all, thanks very much for inviting me to another training session. It's, again, always kind of pretty awe-inspiring to watch you guys train and work. And I think when you see trampoline on the TV, it's a very, very different perspective to actually seeing it live. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first time I did see you live, the thing that everyone is going to say is the heights that you guys get to is just phenomenal. So, again, thanks very much for inviting me.
Thank you for coming.
So it's kind of a bit of a debrief because we haven't really managed to have a face-to-face since the magical day. So I just thought it would be really interesting for any of the viewers to just kind of have a bit of a insight into your year. So where to
start?
So British, European, World and Olympic champion.
Yeah, in the space of less than 12 months in the end, yeah.
And which came first?
Which came first? The Worlds, then Europeans, then Olympic, and then British. So Worlds back in November 2023. It was a home World Championships. So that was really exciting, and competing in front of my home crowd, winning in front of my home crowd, and with the routine that I was doing was a really special routine for me because I've been wanting to compete a 3-triple routine. Yep. So a routine that has 3 triples in for many, many years. And to be able to finally compete that year and then compete at the final in the World Championships was really amazing. And we also won a bronze medal in the synchro, me and Izzy. Izzy qualified to place for the country at that World Championships for the Olympics. Yep. So that was an amazing moment. And then as an all-around team, we also got a bronze medal. So it was a really exciting competition for me, all in front of a home crowd. And then we moved on to the European Championships later on the following year. And me and Izzy retained our synchro champion title, and I retained my individual one. And the men actually won their synchro first title, gold, which was really amazing. So we won the synchro, both men and women, which was really exciting. Then it was the Olympics, which can go about into more detail. And then it was British to finish it all off, to kind of go back to where it all started, on like home turf, British Championships. Really wanted to see everyone after the Olympics and be able to compete in front of people that have kind of helped me all along the way and it be a little bit more special. So it was nice. And I designed a leotard to kind of match the first leotard I ever competed in.
And is that with Quattro?
That was with Quattro, yeah. So they recreated my first ever kind of competition squad leotard. So kind of wearing that, the British kind of a full circle was really, really special. Fantastic.
Yeah. So you've already been world champion. So how many world champion honours do you have now?
So that was my second individual world champion title. I've also been part of the team that won gold in 2013, as well as an all-around team and a silver medal individually as well. So it was, my second World Championships title as an individual trampolinist.
Fantastic. Yeah. And from the Olympic side of things, I think, as you said before, you've now completed it because you've got the hat trick. So first was silver in 2016. Yeah. And then there was a bronze in Tokyo, and then capped it all off with the big one.
Yeah, so it was like a trampoline, so silver, bronze, bounced back up to gold. So I think it's quite poetic.
So I think it's a good time to kind of show everybody what an Olympic gold medal looks like. And I was lucky enough to have a little bit of a peek at this earlier on. And yeah, what a thing. What a thing. Thank you.
So it has part of the Eiffel Tower in, which I think is really special. So it brings kind of Paris with us. It's engraved around the edge to say the event, and so it says Trampoline Femme. And then the front of the medal is very similar to Rio and Tokyo's front of the medals as well. But yeah, it's unique because it's the only gold medal for trampoline women with the engravement on. So yeah, really happy.
I said, the thing that everybody says is just how heavy these are. There's the actual substance and the way it feels in your hand, and it's kind of just holding it. It's like a real sensory experience, just feeling it because of the texture and the mass and the shape and the colour and the relief and everything about it. And I think, what a testament to everything you've kind of been through and overcome, because it's not been an easy road.
No,
it's not been an easy road, and I think a lot of the time over the last 12 months you've been battling an injury or a number of injuries.
Yeah.
And you've obviously got an amazing team behind you from the strength and conditioning and the rehab to help you with that and pushing you through.
Yeah, so kind of in the build up to the World Championships last year, I was dealing with just a small kind of ankle pain. We were managing that going in, and then just because of like the length and size of the competition and what I was doing at the competition, as well as I went on holiday afterwards, did a bit too much walking probably, and I didn't realise how much I'd aggravated my ankle during the competition and post-competition. So when I got back into training, just that something wasn't feeling right, really different to what it was going into Worlds. So kind of it just felt like I was chasing time from that moment, just kind of as soon as I kind of got back on the trampoline and it being like I could barely jump, I was like a bit in shock because I didn't really understand how it could be that much pain from like really not doing anything significant in terms of I didn't land funny, I didn't do anything like that, so I don't really know kind of what happened to then having to deal with that in the Olympic year, and just not being able to get on top of my training, to be able to push the way that I wanted to. I had to really manage my volume in training, and so it was just a fight for time to be able to do the routine that I wanted to do at the Olympics, and it kind of got so close to the time and it just wasn't coming together the way that I wanted to, and my ankle wasn't improving at that time, so it was a case of I need to see improvement in my ankle, I need to change this routine. So it was really disappointing to kind of get to that moment going into the Olympics that training isn't going how you want it to have to change kind of your dream. Well, my dream of wanting to compete the 3 triple routine at an Olympics. No woman has done that before. So I really wanted to do that and win with it. But yeah, that just wasn't coming together the way that I wanted. My confidence levels were low. My ability to kind of, that I knew that I needed more volume in my training to be able to achieve what I wanted. So it just came to that point, was like, I'm damaging my ankle by trying to get this routine. I need to take a step back and actually go for tactics and really listen to my body now. Change the routine back down to my normal one, rather than the upgrade, the 15-2 and 15. They kind of interchange depending on one skill at the end. And it was the 15-2 was still the highest of the competition, so it's still there, but the competition, the 3 triple routine is a 15-8, so it gives a big leeway. That's almost a whole mark above everyone else just by doing the routine, let alone doing it well. So it meant that I really had to focus on getting the consistency of quality and all the time, and making sure that each element of the routine was as close it could be to perfection, and that it was consistently there. So it's a different sort of stress and disappointment for not being able to do the routine that I wanted to, and just the knowing that I didn't have that difficulty to fall back on going into the Olympics. So yeah, it was that. I think the biggest challenge was the confidence levels as well as managing my ankle. But it was, I guess, confidence in my ankle as well. But yeah, the team around me were fantastic. Seeing kind of what state I was in when we did like a quick test of they were like, "I'll do like 5 pogo jumps on your right leg," and that's the ankle that was sore. And I was just like, this is, in my head, I'm like, this is so painful, and like kind of took a step away and just kind of started crying because I was like, this is not good. It's just kind of, that was the sinking moment of, it's not going how I want to. I'm gonna have to change things. And then from that point onwards, they were like, they knew and they were understanding before that moment, but that moment was kind of that turning point of, right, what more can we do that needs to be done? How can we manage this? Like, what other support that can we have? And just everything seemed to start picking up from that point, just by changing a tactic.
And I guess that's where the sort of the weight of experience as well as having the team around you. And I think coming off the back of having title-winning routines relatively recently would have given you, I hope, a bit of mental fortitude to know that you had as many things in place that were in your control to get you there.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if it felt that way at the time. I think I knew I was capable of becoming an Olympic champion should everything go well, because of becoming a world champion really like relatively close by to the Olympics. Europeans are slightly different because you're kind of missing some of the world's best. That like my main competition, they weren't competing at that in the Europeans. But going in as the strongest European competitor gave confidence in that I can deliver under pressure. But it was just, the experience came into play when it was actually the competition day rather than the build-up, I think. I don't know whether decisions of an experience with that, the decisions were made correctly, with in terms of fight it as long as I can to try and get the routine, and then having that experience to know that at this moment when it's not working, that's the end, I have to change tactics. That comes with experience and knowledge of and past experiences of what you need to be doing in the build-up to the games. So, but also stubbornness of me trying to get it, and it was like literally that we can't keep trying anymore, and the team around me to support that decision. But yeah, I guess I had, like, on the day, the experience kind of got me through it because, or helped me a massive amount, because I knew, like, the Olympics is structured really differently to most competitions that we do. So when we go to a World Cup or a World Championships, it's across 2 to 4 days. The Olympics is on one day. We don't have a semi-final, so that's completely different. We normally have prelims, a semi-final and a final. So this way it's just prelims and final. So you have essentially 2 chances to get in the final, whereas another competition you have 2 chances to get in the semi-final and then 1 chance to get to the final. So there's both a little bit less riding on it, but also because people have 2 chances, you're most likely going to get the best out of everyone. So you know that it's going to be harder to make a final than it would be for a normal competition. So for me, the tactics were going in, do a solid first routine completely within my comfort zone, just deliver. The second routine, as long as the first one goes to plan, second routine is kind of trying to step up a little bit more and see how much more it can give, ready for my chance in the final, which is want to give my absolute all. And what happened in the qualifying into the final was that I qualified in the final in 5th with what I felt was a delivery routine. Like it really was just managed to kind of fight it enough to stay in. And then the second routine I improved, but I had made quite a big mistake, skill 5, that I then managed to get it back in. So I knew I hadn't quite got the routine out there that I wanted, but I also knew that I was saving myself for the final, because the experience comes in that because this competition is such a long one, with it all being on one day and it being the Olympics, there's a lot on ourselves psychologically to be able to focus for that long under so much pressure. So yeah, going into the final, it was just that experience of knowing how to kind of control my nerves, knowing when to switch on, when to switch off, when to give it my all, when to kind of go for the comfort zone, and being aware of what other people were doing around me, which is not something I normally do. I didn't watch the competition, but you can't ignore the scores coming through. You can't ignore how the audience is going to react, and how you can see how the teams are reacting, the people around them and the athletes themselves. If they're smiling, they've done well. And I can have my back to the competition trampolines, but I can't. That means I'm going to see their results and how they're reacting to the results. So I kind of knew the results, what people were getting. I didn't know what their routines looked like, but I knew that there was a medal up for grabs, and all I had to do was my routine. And then it was kind of like, yeah, but I want to do my routine well, and I'd like to win with it. So it was just giving them the confidence that, right, the approach to the routine is not way above what I can do. Like, I'm not going to give absolutely everything, jump really, really high and then overcook everything. And just, so I needed to make sure it was the right adrenaline levels, the right, like, kind of nervous energy, and use it to my benefit in the right way and not go overboard. And that's, I think it would have been really easy to have done in that moment, but also knowing that I was under a lot of pressure because I knew that I was capable of doing it, and that was like kind of the hard part.
And you ended up with 56.48.
Well done.
Massive score. So
Yeah.
having said all that, what you actually delivered was something pretty special, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was really happy with it. So my PB is in the 57s, but it's only, happened a couple times. So I was really chuffed with the score. I think I made one mistake which could have helped me get into the higher 56 into the 57s, but I knew, like, when I saw that score, that I had a really big shout of winning, because we only had one competitor left, and that score is quite a hard score to beat. Although it's not, she's, if she hit her routine, maybe it would have been close. But yeah, I knew that was a really good score, and I was really, really proud of being able to do a really good quality routine at an Olympic final, but also know that there's still more to give, which was kind of nice. I always thought if you become an Olympic champion, it means that, you've done your absolute best, and that, you have to do that to become it. But actually for me, there was still a little bit more room. So it means that I still have more to give, and that's given me kind of that motivation to keep going with trampolining even longer.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And from memory, your journey into the final of the Worlds was 0.01 of a point?
Yes. So Worlds was just like all the stars aligning when it came to the World Championships. So in the semi-final, basically the way that the qualification for the Olympics worked. So I was highest ranking Brits in the World Cup Olympic ranking points, and I needed to finish in the top 3 there to be able to help qualify 2 spaces for women. For that to happen, Izzy needed to go into the finals ahead of me for the second space to be qualified. So if I'd have qualified ahead of her, then she would have had to get the World Cup ranking points, but she was lower down in the ranking, so it would have been really difficult. So that way round was like, basically meant that she had to nail her routine and I had to not, for just in that moment, just because of where we are with our training and her development as an athlete. And that's kind of what happened. Was I made a few too many errors in my routine, but managed to hold on just enough, and she absolutely smashed her routine when it counted under the most pressure, because she only had one opportunity to do what she needed to do to qualify. I had the whole World Cup series, so I had 5 different opportunities. So she qualified in 7th place. I finished in 8th place, and I was 0.05 below her and 0.01 above 9th. So I literally had 0.06 leeway, and I was like, you could have given me a little bit more room. But I was like, that absolutely no way that could, like, the chances of that happening were so small in terms of for her to do that, and for me to still get in the final. Like, the chance of her making final was high, the chance of me making final was high, but to kind of fall in that way. One of my friends from Portugal, because everyone was kind of, like, people were like, she'd said that somebody next to her, because they knew the rules and knew what had to happen, someone next to her had said, do you think she did that on purpose? Surely she can't do that on purpose. And my friend was like, she's that good. And I was like, because I switched my routine out in the middle, like I was planning to do my 15.2 and then changed it down to a 15. So if I hadn't have done that difficulty change, then it might, 0.2 was a big difference at that point. So yeah, it's funny, I was like, oh, I knew I was going to be 2 ahead, so I needed to do a 0.2 deduction. But I obviously had no idea, but yeah, it just worked out. It meant that we could both kind of share the Olympics together as teammates, synchro partners, friends, and yeah, for her to have that Olympic experience, which she might have had to wait 4 years to get. So it was, yeah, absolute amazing moment.
Fantastic. And we met probably a couple of years ago now, the first time. So what was it that kind of brought you to come and see me in the end?
So I was experiencing some dizziness with my training, as well as just some problems with my contact lenses, and just wanted to it was, yeah, the doctor kind of recommended I come and see you to see if there was anything that can happen with dizziness perception wise, and also the contact lenses, which kept slipping and just weren't quite feeling too good. So I came to see you, checked out my eyes, tested, make sure I'm wearing the right prescription, which I don't think I was. So they needed updating, and the contact lenses were changing to be like fitting better and feeling better, healthier for my eyes. And also we did some reaction skill testing. So to kind of do that, and then the synaptic glasses, they were like this idea to kind of improve, like we said, like improve perception and reacting skills, and just trying to get those marginal gains. I think that's what, like, why we've continued working together, for at least from my side, why I wanted to keep doing that if possible, was because I really felt that as a sports vision expert, but also like a medical practitioner in some way, with it being to do with eyes and senses, when I kind of see someone external from UKSI, there's not as much understanding with sport and why we're trying to make how we're trying to make differences. And you really understood about like marginal gains, that a 0.01 does make the difference.
It really does, and that's what we said right from the start. And my role, my job, my whole kind of reason for you coming to see me was to try to give you any tiny little thing that might make you fractionally better than you were before, in order for it to manifest as being something which might give you even a fraction of a point. And as we said, with yourself, the contact lenses that you had were okay, but they were okay. They were okay if you were just doing a regular job. Okay vision for you isn't good enough, and good isn't good enough. We want it to be as good as it humanly can be. So we had to refine the prescription to make sure that it was crisp and sharp and acute. We needed to change the material, because the material that you were wearing was pretty out of date, it's pretty old, so it wasn't necessarily the best for your ocular health, and also the comfort side of things. And also with the lenses not fitting, they tended to move around, and this is what happens when you've got lenses for astigmatism, is they need to have the right power, and they need to sit in the right place. And sometimes the manufacturers don't make every parameter that exists. They make the best fit, or they make the nearest. And for you, as we found, that nearest wasn't quite good enough. And what we wanted to try to do was put in place something that you could wear comfortably and then just forget about. So not to be mindful of, oh, my lenses feel a bit uncomfortable, or they're slipping and they're not as comfy on day 28 as they are on day 1. And any of that mental chatter we just needed to get rid of. And we just wanted to try to improve the quality of data that was coming in, because if you can get better visual data coming in, then theoretically you can make better body movements on the other side of things. And I had to do a good old bit of research into trampolini to try and learn a little bit more about what was going to be appropriate for you. And I've sort of learned more from the gymnastic side with people getting lost in a skill and all of that sort of thing. And the idea of what we did with yourself was to try to give you the best tools for the job, and to try to help to regain some visual confidence and then regain physical confidence. And that's where other tools like the sports vision training can come in. We have got the new stuff, which I'm going to show you later on, which we probably won't be able to film, but we might do a video on this at some other point, and that's called NeuroTracker. So NeuroTracker is a program that you can download on an app or on a browser, and you can go through a series of essentially eye-brain training tools to really tap into improving that peripheral vision. So when we're talking about visual perception, we're looking at what and where. So the central part of your vision, which is about 5%, is that what. So that's in your fovea. That's the macula that gives you that critical central vision for sharpness. And the rest of it's peripheral. And a lot of your peripheral data that you're taking is what we call pre-conscious. So it's gathering all this information and processing it in a different way. And if we can help teach you or anybody else that's interested in boosting that on how to integrate that peripheral vision seamlessly without thinking about it, it just means that you've got a better visual skill set and you're operating on an enhanced cognitive level. And all of these little things are just those aggregation of marginal gains that can just help you get fractions of a point here and there. So I'm pretty excited to see how you feel about those.
And I'm really excited about that. And I know that it's going to improve my individual trampolining because of being able to have more like input without even realising that I'm having that, and being able to make decisions based on that. But also for the synchronised trampoline, we've got the World Games to aim for next year, which only comes around every 4 years. And in synchro, you have to really use your peripheral to stay in time with your partner. So any gains there is going to be massively helpful.
And is that going to be with Izzy as well?
Yeah.
So we'll sort something out for Izzy too. So I'll give you both a licence to do some sort of teamwork training on that. And as we said, having a perfect visual system doesn't immediately make the perfect athlete, but it's one little piece of what we call the performance jigsaw to just make sure is optimised. And it can just help to have other kind of benefits from as we said, the psychological side of things, and just being that little bit more switched on. So the big question is, this has got 3 pockets in it.
Yeah.
Do you think you might need a fourth pocket?
Yeah, we'll see. The plan A is to hopefully make it into Cirque du Soleil, and because I'd absolutely love to join the circus and use trampolining in a performance manner, wear the costumes, wear the makeup, perform as a group, display in front of a crowd. Really excited to try that route out if I can. And then, yeah, plan A is to come back for LA Olympics, and so come back in time to build my competitive trampolining back up, because I know that coming out of a circus performance, you're going to have general fitness is going to be pretty high, but that power element and the kind of performing on your own is going to be quite different. So to get the kind of the mental capacity as well as the physical capacity back up to competitive fitness, or strength and power, and then to be able to compete it with a kind of different perspective, I think.
Yep.
And hopefully, plan A is to come back strong enough to qualify to the LA Olympics. And I really don't know what my targets would be for LA, because I don't know I've never had that amount of time away from trampolining. I've obviously gone through injuries, which I've had 2 years that have gone after the Rio Olympics, having a couple of surgeries on my ankles and not been able to train consistently, but I've always been in the trampolining world competing and working with that team. So, and then of course we had a few months during kind of COVID, a lockdown time. So, but this is a brand new experience for me, taking myself away from competitive trampolining and that environment to something that's similar but very, very different. And then trying to come back and seeing if do the pressures change? Will I be used to the pressure? Will I see it in a different way and see it and it will become a strength, or is it something that I need to get used to? I really don't know. So I can't guarantee that my goal will be an Olympic medal, but I'd like to think it could be. That is what I would absolutely love to do, is go to 4 Olympic Games and win 4 medals. Not that I'm saying that I'm greedy or unhappy with where I'm at. I'm perfectly happy with 3 Olympic medals and three Olympics, 3 medals. But what if I can do a 4th? I think that's what I'd love to try and do. And I love being part of Team GB. I love going to the Olympics. So,
and you're already the most successful female British gymnast?
Yes. Yeah. So at an Olympic level, I think I'm the only British gymnast or British female gymnast that's won Olympic gold. Only one that's won 3. So at Olympic level, yes. And a trampoline level, yes.
And we've seen in other aerial sports like snowboarding and freestyle skiing that tricks and rotations and moves are evolving year on year. And the sort of stuff that you see people pulling out now versus 10, 15 years ago is very different. And you don't have to say what it is, but are you potentially working on adding some new stuff to your personal repertoire? Yes,
I definitely have to do this as well. It's something, obviously I want to do it, but it's something that the code of points is changing for this Olympic cycle coming up, which means they're going to benefit higher difficulty. And so for the women, if you're doing more than 2 triples, your 3rd triple, 4th triple, 5th triple will all get an extra 0.3 bonus points, which hasn't been done before. You get more points for if you do more twists and somersaults. So the difficulty level is changing how they score it. So you're going to be rewarded more than you have been in the past for going for those difficult skills. So obviously you still have to perform them well, but there's more of an incentive to put in that skill that you might have gone, do you know what, actually I can do it well, but it's not worth it because I only gain 0.2, but I actually don't make any gains in a execution point of view, or I lose 0.2 of a height, so actually it doesn't make a difference. But if it's 0.4 add extra in difficulty for the same skill that you would have got only 0.2 this Olympic cycle, then it's, actually it's a gain of 0.2 if I only lose 0.2 in height or 0.2 in execution. So you're gaining a little bit more, and that's only for one skill. If you can manage to do it across the whole routine, then it's going to be a big change. So I think the women's trampolining, the men's trampolining, but in particular for me, the women's trampolining, I think you'll start seeing more interesting routines, to be more creative and to see that difficulty. More women are going to try and push it because it's more worth it. So I'm going to have to keep up with the youngsters and learn some new skills.
Fantastic. Well, that's going to be super exciting to watch. And as we said before, I'm always here to give you everything that comes out that's new that I think you'll benefit from. So whether that's new designs of lenses that are more stable or sharper, different things like the strobe training glasses, the other visual training stuff you've got, the neurotracker bits and pieces, then anything that comes out we'll make sure that you have access to in order to make sure that the visual side of things is absolutely locked in.
Thank you. And also want to say thank you for your contribution, especially at a very crucial moment in the Olympic qualifiers last year. Just before the first Olympic qualifier, I had a bit of a problem with my eye.
You did, yeah.
Which I was kind of going to be like, I'll let it pass and it will be fine. And as in, I'll give it a few days. And you're like, no, a few days can make a huge difference. You could get this permanent damage that could happen, and it can go downhill pretty quickly. Yep. So, and you, despite some obstacles that we faced, we managed to get what was needed really, really quickly to be able to see that improvement. Because if I'd left it longer, it would have been longer without my contact lenses training, because that was so weird to be able to go from something to be able to see perfectly to then not being able to wear my contacts on the trampoline and train. It was really odd and scary. So I would have had more sessions where I was like that, and that was like a week or two before my first Olympic qualifying. And if that had been any different, it would have changed the course of my year. And I don't know if you know this, because to be able to, I won that you obviously know I won that competition, but that meant that it took the pressure off the next four. And then the second one I got onto the podium as well. So my job was kind of done. I knew I would have liked to have had another goal just to secure that the top 3 World Cup rankings. But knowing that I had those 2 in the first competitions, it allowed me to push and explore my 3 triple routine, which if that competition had gone differently, I wouldn't have been able to do that, which meant I wouldn't have been able to do my 3 triple routine, which meant I wouldn't have been able to do that at World Championships and win in front of a home crowd in that way and achieve my dream of doing that 3 triple routine and in a most special way. So thank you. I don't know if you realised the impact that you had in that moment, but it completely changed. I've waited. I learnt the half and triff, which was the 3rd triple to add in, I think when I was 17, and I've been wanting to compete it since then. It wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't have done that first competition the way that it happened, because it wouldn't have given me that allowance and that backup to be able to do what I did. So thank you very much for going through that.
That's my job. That's what I'm here for. And, as we said at the start, some contact lens issues that we have can be very trivial. And with the advent of daily disposable contact lenses, the risk of infection is significantly less. But sometimes when we get them, they can be, again, superficial, or they can be sight-threatening. And whenever we see something like yours presented with, I always look at it as worst case scenario, and we just want to be super proactive and absolutely smash it and just make sure there's no chance of anything that's going to compromise the health of your eyes and your vision and your performance at all, which is why we just needed to act particularly quickly. And as we said, it was a little bit of a challenge. It was a couple of obstacles, but we overcome it, and I'm just again glad to have been of service. Yeah.
And you also, which I also didn't realise, because at the time, because we went through some extra testing about it, realising that I wasn't being super good with the way that I was treating my contact lenses wearing, so it needed to be wearing my glasses more often. But because I didn't like my glasses, I found them uncomfortable, I wasn't wearing them, so we sorted out some glasses, so now I'm more comfortable wearing those, and to be able to understand the damage that I didn't realise I was causing to my eyes long term. But so it saved my long-term eyesight as well, which I wouldn't have even known I was doing. So,
and we always take our vision for granted as very much a passive thing that just happens. And sometimes the deteriorations and the changes of those can be acute, such as an infection, or sometimes they can be more of a gradual bleed off, and we don't necessarily recognise that we've got a reduction in visual performance. So we always want to just try and make sure that we're using everything we can to just be at the top of the game all the time. So, Bryony, thank you.
Thank you.
So for anybody who's watching, if you have got any comments about how to get into trampolining, about how to get a fantastic quattro leotard, any information about noises that dinosaurs make or might have made, contact lenses, astigmatism, sports vision, training, spatial awareness, anything like that, drop a comment in the section below, like and share the video, and hope you enjoyed it.